Okay.
Let's see, who do we have? Hold on a second. Julie, would you sit for Ms. Renegar?
I think Geneva's here.
Oh, is she?
I'm here, yes,
Oh, okay, I see you now.
For the
Oh my gosh,
vacancy.
I'm sorry.
for the vacancy check.
Okay, yeah, then Julie, would you sit for the vacancy?
Yes,
you very
happy
much.
to.
Item number 3, I'm sorry, item number 2, approval of the 28 October meeting minutes.
Move to accept.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? Corrections, comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Thank you. Motion carries with 1 abstention. Item number 3, application review, C21-12, 384 and 394 Willards Avenue Extension, site plan modification and new clubhouse, Waterford Woods LLC, owner and applicant, the Antic River Consultants LLC agent, and we'd like to review the draft permit. Any comments from the commission?
Very comprehensive and excellent as usual, Maureen.
Thank you, sir.
Were we going to discuss any of the materials in the packet here, any of the other plans, or simply just look at the meeting or the draft permit? Because I have a question I'd like to address about the draft permit.
Sure, go ahead, Deb.
Okay, so as I read, let me see if I can get the draft permit up on the screen here.
Yep.
On my computer screen. Is that it? No. Please stand by one. Oh, that's right. You sent it in a separate email, I believe. Well, so just basically, there were a number of items that the applicant needed to do for us and some of those items, crud, I wish I could find this. Oh, here it is, a draft permit. Okay. So under special conditions, we have 9 special conditions. Okay, Maureen? In some of those special conditions, we say that a report or something has to be submitted to the Conservation Commission. In one of the special conditions, we, like number 3, for instance, approved by the commission's agent. In some cases, like number 5, an as-built survey of the stormwater system shall be submitted to the commission with written verification from a licensed engineer that the system was constructed in accordance with approved design plans. The submittal shall be completed prior to issuance of the certificate of compliance for the building. Okay, so there's presumption or assumed presumption that someone, probably you, is going to look at the stormwater system, or no, to look at the written verification from the licensed engineer that the system was constructed in accordance with that, and
Well, I'm
accept
sure
that.
Maureen will look at the plan itself too, not
Right.
just the verification.
But yeah, but it's not specifically said in each of these different 9 conditions who is responsible for approving or accepting what. And I'd just offer this as a suggestion here, and maybe we don't need to put it since it's assumed, but I wrote something here. I said, except as designated, the duty of the commission, except as designated the duty of the commission to review and approve, provision above, which, it says there that the commission shall approve something or disapprove it. the commission's agent may accept the determination made by the design engineer, wetland scientist, or other designated professionals, when so noted. All I wanted to do was just kind of, offer this to the commission, say, look, where it says that something is going to be done by someone like a design engineer, wetland scientist, or other, professional person, that it's the responsibility of somebody to approve it. Somebody in the Conservation Commission, whether it's the environmental planner or it's us. So do
Well,
you
these are
think that
pretty
the-
standard conditions, Dave. I mean,
It
this
is,
isn't
well-
anything new that we're doing here.
I know it. I know it. And honestly, Wade, I kind of never thought about that before, except when I was reading through these again. I said, huh, okay, so it just says that it's just accepted by or provide verification by the design engineer, but it doesn't say specifically that it needs to be done, that it needs to be approved by or accepted by, not approved, accepted by the the agent. But hey, I'll tell you honestly, Wade, I'm not hard over on this. And if you think that we've been doing it that way and it's been working fine, I'm good with it. I just wanted to, raise.
Mr. Larish,
I just wanted to
these
bring up my
conditions,
observation.
these conditions are typical of what we've reviewed and approved in the past. I've been on the commission for nearly 10 years or over 10 years. And this is typical of what we've been doing. And quite honestly and frankly, I don't see any reason to change now.
That's fine. Hey, all I wanted to do is just, open that up for discussion. And I've been on for 10 years as well, Richard. And I never thought about it until, I was just looking at some of the conditions today, and I said, gee, is it really clear to everybody? And hey, if it is clear and we've never had a problem, then there's no reason to change it.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I just, Dave, thank you for bringing that up. But there are some things that myself as your agent, I can do and review as part of the implementation of the permit. But number 5 in particular is the verification by the applicant that they did what they said they would do on the plan. And they could submit it to me, but I have no regulatory authority, only the commission does. So
No, but
that's why I like number 5 the way it is, and I would recommend you keep it that way, because if a certified engineer finds that he cannot prepare such a statement and submit it on the record to the record for the record plan, that is an issue for the commission, not your staff.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, it doesn't say
And typically, if you're doing this as an engineering firm, you always, at least when we do it, we always say that the stormwater treatment facility was constructed in substantial conformance with the design plans. Because, I don't care how good you are, there's going to be variation between design and as-built, and you just got to make sure it functions.
Right.
Oh, sure, Wade.
And then in the monitoring report, again, it's the commission that holds the legal regulatory authority, not your staff. So that report needs to come to the commission. I would attach it to the agenda so you can review it. If there are any questions, then that would be a discussion for the commission, not staff. So that's why 5, 6, and 7 significantly identify the commission. The other ones, this is just identifying that once you've identified a non-encroachment area, anything beyond that requires specific authorization, i.e. a permit from the Conservation Commission. Again, that's staff. I am not, under our regulations, I am not a designated agent.
I realize that, and you know what? When we give responsibility to a third party person, like an engineer it's like, I know that you make sure it's done, Maureen. And I don't know that we don't see everything come before us. I mean, there's things that you do and you say, okay, check mark, got her done. That's all I'm saying is that we don't necessarily say that you look at it and check it off to say, yeah, it's done. We assume that's the case, but it doesn't say specifically. Look,
Well,
honestly,
if they don't have
I'm-
it, if all the i's
fine
aren't
with it,
dotted and
Dave.
the t's aren't crossed, they don't get the certificate of compliance. That's the bottom line.
Right.
yeah. So somebody make sure that that's done,
The
whether
commission,
it's the commission or, yeah. So I guess so. There are 9 items here, and we're going to see each one of those. Make sure that they're all done. That's all I was just saying. So
Okay.
in some cases, it specifically says Conservation Commission, in some cases it doesn't. And so that's why I brought this issue up. And really, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. And like you say, we've been doing it for 10 years and saying the same sort of thing, and it's working fine. I'm not a lawyer, definitely not someone who has to make sure that every little, T is crossed, I is dotted. But it's something that, as I was reading through it, something just caused me to say, hey, just make sure it's the responsibility of someone to check each and every one of those, someone who is part of the commission or part of the town. That's all I was saying. This, honestly, we've been doing it this way. It's fine. I'm happy with it. You bet.
Okay, thank you.
one thing
Yeah.
I was wondering if we want to consider is item number 9. Maybe have them submit the form for the 2 years with the report. Just to verify that they're doing the inspections and that sort of thing. I don't know how you people feel about that.
Comments?
Submit to commission's agent for review and approval.
Well, if I may, again, Commission, this is a reminder to the applicant that the inspection and maintenance procedures that are outlined in the numerous reports or on the plans, which are not construction plans, this is a recommendation that they condense all those items into a maintenance chart. So that chart can be given to whoever the maintenance person is or maintained as part of the file. So should there be an issue, there is a condensed maintenance chart that's more easily legible and makes sense. The staff, the planning staff has a lot to do with implementation after the permit's issued. Indeed, and I don't blame you, Dave, for wondering if it should be stated here that as implemented by staff. If it's not implied, I can certainly add that language if it makes you feel that it's a more robust special condition. But there is no certificate of compliance from this office for inland wetlands, and therefore there is no building certificate of occupancy until the permit conditions are met.
Any other questions or comments?
Do you
Hearing
want me
none.
to add anything to these special conditions regarding review by commission staff?
No, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not asking the commission to do that. I was just making an observation. And I think it's well established and certainly we can continue operating like we are without adding any more verbiage to this permit.
Thank you, Mr. Lurch.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to proceed with, to issue the draft, issue of the permit.
So made, Wade Thomas.
Thank you, Wade.
Take order second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any other further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Please let the record show that the motion carried unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night,
Thank you,
Brandon.
Brandon. Good job.
Yeah, thanks, Maureen. Good, great job.
Excellent.
Okay, moving on to item number 4, new applications.
There were no new applications.
Thank you. Number 5, other business, wetland mitigation inspection report, 14B Shore Road, permit C, 2014. Maureen, what, we simply have to accept this report, right?
This, again, you do get to see some of the special condition requirements. This is one of them for 14B Shore Road. This was the driveway crossing that required wetland mitigation. And then there was a violation during construction of the driveway crossing that also required additional wetland enhancement. So there was the requirement from the permit is 2 years monitoring after completion. This is the end of the first year. This report was prepared by Mr. Ian Cole, who was the wetland scientist for the project and the wetland scientist for the mitigation. So this was permit C 2014. I like the report. It can, at least the commission can have an idea of the progression. So this was the replacement mitigation wetland for the wetland crossing for the driveway. So this is when they graded it out. Still grading it out. This is the house that's being built. This is Seaside, the neighboring property. This.
Now that, Maureen, that on the top photo, it says it's October 8th of 2021. It's probably 2020, right?
Yeah, it's not my report, Wade, but I'm
Oh,
guessing.
well, that's what I'm guessing.
I'm guessing so chronologically.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is documentation that there was a mix of topsoil and compost. So these, I believe the special conditions work because these reports have to document it. So here's the completed graded mitigation wetland. These were the plants that were laid out before they planted it. It was required that your staff come and review the location and the numbers, and I did that. This is what happens after it rains a lot. So the mitigation wetland filled up. And this is the first annual inspection. So they had to document the success of the wetland restoration plantings. They have to document a minimum of 70% survivability. They have to record any invasive species control measures, so you have an idea if it's being taken over. And then photographs of the area and any corrective actions required. And this is the first annual report. October 30th. It came in, but we didn't have a meeting until now. So the findings were that 47 shrub plantings had only a 55% survivability. They had prolonged hydrology. This was a very wet year and it affected the survival of a lot of the brand new planted shrubs. They're going to monitor the next growing season to see what will happen. And if it will, they're anticipating that it may just transition into an emergent marsh instead of a shrub wetland. They're going to look at that and see, because of the prolonged hydrology, whether or not it dries out or whether we're looking at what's to come. The outlet for this area is on the state property, is Seaside. So they really don't have any option to go and lower that or change that. I would not advise it. Anyway, so they had no invasive species, they had no soil stabilization or erosion measures. The wetland scientist right now is offering a preliminary recommendation to consider natural recruitment of cattails to be satisfactory in replace of the additional shrubs that got drowned. They still have another compliance monitoring for 2022, so we'll see how that goes. But this is what it's looking at about now. Well, September. You can see the cattails are coming in.
No, we don't necessarily want to have a cattail monoculture though, right?
We'll see what comes up here. This is
Because they tend to take over if they can.
yeah. May not be a bad thing considering the wetlands that were filled were all invasive species. This is the wetland creation area, looking the other way. So you can see the cattails are taking over in the deeper water, and then you have the sedges and marshes on the side. So I think it'll be very interesting. From the first year, it's not bad. There's good coverage.
Yeah, excellent.
We'll wait and see what happens in year 2. If it's a dry year, there might be surprising what else comes in. The second monitoring portion of this permit was for the enhancement, the buffer enhancement area of the old ice pond, closer up to the north end of the property. This is what was planted. 60 shrubs. This is what it looked like before they started. If you recall, here's the inlet coming off the shore road. They cleared it and grubbed out all the invasives around it. These are the core logs that were planted as part of the design. And then these were the shrubs that were installed. Staff reviewed before they were installed per the permit in September for a buffer. Nice robust growth on the inside. And to clarify that they did mark it as a non-encroachment area, took a picture of the placard, which is nice. And this is what it looks like just about now.
That actually looks pretty nice compared to what
Well,
they started.
considering what it looked
They
like
started with, I mean,
before, which was this, yeah.
yeah, nice job.
Yeah, well, it's a nice report. I appreciate the photos and be able to document the progression of the mitigation, the creative
Absolutely.
mitigation and the enhancement mitigation. So again, we will be getting another one of these per the permit requirement the end of October. So we'll probably in a year from now, next November, we'll be reviewing, and I'll bring this one up to see for comparison how it's come about. I think it's a very robust monitoring. There's year 2's annual report. He's committed to submit to the commission by October 30th, 2022. Any questions on this right now?
Let's see here.
From staff's review, just to finish up, sorry, Dave. They've satisfied the conditions for the first year, and the monitoring documentation is more than adequate.
Yeah, I thought it was a good report overall. Well documented.
Any other questions you want me to forward or concerns you want me to forward to the wetland scientist?
I have one question. So, do we have to accept or approve this report as a commission?
No, it's just a monitoring report to document that they've completed what was required and they're monitoring how it survives.
So, all right, they were required to submit it and we've observed it. So the, as far as the plantings go, there was a recommendation there from the wetland scientist to say, hey, let's just let these cattails grow. That was really not consistent with what was approved before. But
Correct.
if we need to come to some kind of concurrence and say, yeah, I think that's okay, though, and don't try something else. I mean, I'm fine with that. Cattails are good. Phragmites will probably come in before too long. But we'll just wait for something to happen and then see what the owner wants to do next.
Well, I think it's an important point that you brought up, David, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, is that this was supposed to be planted as a shrub wetland. The hydrology, however, like anything, once they start, you dig in and you wait and you find out how the season goes, the plants they planted cannot take prolonged inundation. Let me bring up that plant list. Sorry, don't get dizzy. Just let me, there it is. So these are not, the wet mix did well, but these are transition side slope. What lost in the middle, the 60 that got lost in the middle, Silky
Yeah.
Dogwood and Winterberry, they cannot thrive in prolonged inundation periods. So there are options, very limited, if the commission wants to see woody shrubs in that interior. However, it was an extremely wet year, so I'm not
Right.
certain yet that it would be the time to direct replacement plantings, replacement selections without seeing. But you bring up a good point. Once the cattails get established, it will be very hard to eliminate them. And clearly, they're coming in. Let me get that photo back up. See, these are the ones that were put in, but once all this inundated for a prolonged period, which started last November, they couldn't make it.
Sure. Really?
So this is what it looks like now. You can still see the open water area. There's still, you have the wet mix established along the side, but I feel there, you're gonna have a good view of the cattails coming in. If they come in, it'll stop the frag maybe, but that's why we were gonna go for a couple of years and see. Again, this is not a bonded project. This was a volunteer mitigation for a loss of wetlands with a driveway crossing and a culvert. I think it's hasty right now to see what's gonna happen, but if the commission wishes, I will I'll certainly convey the commission's concerns that this is supposed to be a shrub wetland to the monitoring wetland scientist and make sure that's involved in his review. And I think that's appropriate.
And, you know, it could change if we have a more normal year next year. We could see a different development, perhaps.
There's always, I mean, this is the first year, so.
Right, that's
and
what I'm
it was
saying.
It was a brand new canvas, and
Yep.
you can't ignore what comes in from waterfowl.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
So paragraph 4 of the 1-year inspection said that my recommendation is the town considers the natural recruitment of the cattails to be satisfactory in replacement. So I guess as the commission, we have to say, do we feel that it's satisfactory, or do we not feel it's satisfactory?
I believe that's on the table for you, yes.
Yeah, I would move that at this point in time that the recommendation from the wetland scientist is satisfactory, and that and we'll consider to monitor.
Maureen, I think this is going to wind up looking just like the entrance to Harkness. It's all taken over by cattails. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but was this the old Antiput property?
Yes.
Okay, that I know that pretty well. This came up, I think, before I was on the commission. That is a very, very wet area. When you used to drive into that house, it was wet on both sides of the driveway. And there were lots of deer, waterfowl and everything. I'm wondering what's happened to the deer and the waterfowl.
I'm sure they're still there.
Yeah, this development, Ivy, it required, they requested and got approval to build an independent driveway out of that swampy area. But one part where they had to come in, they had to cross wetlands, and this was a replacement wetland for what was impacted.
Okay.
This was not wetland before, this was just yard.
Okay. Well, I guess the question is, do we care if it's cattails or not?
What
Let's
happens,
see.
I think, next year, you know?
Why don't we just wait and see?
What's the negative impact, Maureen, if in fact the cattails do take over?
That will be something we will direct to the wetland scientist. Certainly from tonight's discussion.
It's a bear to get that stuff out once they get established. Ooh.
Yeah. Right.
Cat kill, yeah. There are certain types of mammals and other that survive on cattails, and so sure a lot better than Phragmites or loosestrife or those sort of things. But I guess like you were saying, it was an extremely wet year and still is, and he has a recommendation here. The town considers it. So
Right. So I think at least in tonight's, where the heck is that? At least in tonight's discussion. Am I going the wrong way?
I think you're on the wrong way.
Hey. Sorry, Katrina's not driving, I am.
so
With a mouse. Yeah, here we go. No, I was correct. Anyway, I guess the point I was making is that when you look at this old skating pond, there aren't any cattails in here. This still has standing water. It's just a little drier.
Right.
So, and it's just an emergent wetland. So the issue would be, the recommendation, I guess, would be in order to get rid of the standing water and cattails is that you would put fill back in here to modify the hydrology. Right? Because this is how it started out.
I mean, they could have done like a hummocky thing and putting the shrubs in the hummocks, but that's too late now.
At the start, no one, I certainly
We didn't know
didn't
that at all.
anticipate that this would become ponded.
Right.
So,
That's what makes them so interesting.
yes. So again, it's premature right now to say yay or nay. I would advise the commission. However, I think it's appropriate to bring the commission's concerns and comments in response to the first year's report. And I will do that and share it with you.
That sounds good.
Because the response to this would be that the commission will like to see if and how the hydrology changes during the next growing season, and we'll make a recommendation at that time.
Sounds good.
I think that's a good statement. Mary.
Got it?
It puts the owner.
Any other questions, comments, or discussion? So Maureen, we'll just accept the report and then you'll share the commission's concerns with the wetland scientist.
Correct. And then when we meet again, you'll under correspondence, you'll see my response to Mr. Cole.
Okay, very good.
So I'm back to
That concludes the agenda.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, Wade, thanks very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tally. All those in favor?
I
Any opposed?